Same brown skin, brown liquor. Only you when I'm sipping, babe. Don't feel no pressure. Never could trip off of you. Drinks up, let's do what we do. I'm saying.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. You got your boy Xage here, of course, joined by a very talented, multifaceted local legend, in my opinion. We got Ronnie Quest joining the podcast today.
Yo, what's going on, y'all?
Welcome to the house. Welcome to the crib.
It's good to be here.
Thanks, man. Good to have you. So honestly, bro, like we were just kind of prefacing this before we got on air. We haven't had a lot of time to like know each other or meet each other or anything like that. So please give me like a rundown on, honestly, I think the best place to start would be like where you're from and how you ended up in LA or USC.
Okay, so I was born in Los Angeles. My parents are from Canada and Jamaica, respectively. I've like kind of bounced around living in different parts of LA. I've been in Arizona for a bit, but I think I wanted to stay in LA because I've bounced around like so many like different parts, different cities, different friend groups. I think I just want to continue on. And plus, I always knew I wanted to do music, and USC just has just a crazy music program. So it just made the most sense. I'm like, why am I going to go across the country in search of something that like we're the best is just right here.
I totally agree. What, like, you mean like NYU, Belmont? I feel like those
NYU,
like
Belmont, Miami's cool.
Oh, yeah.
I know like University of Indiana, I think, has one, but I'm like all these other places are like, I was close going to U in Miami. Miami, I could live in Miami.
I actually could see you living in Miami. I think you would really like it there. Just because of all the DJing.
Yeah, it seems like vibes. I'm like, New York is cold. And it didn't accept me, but that's not why I wouldn't have gone anyway.
Yo, me too, bro. I got my NYU rejection before my USC acceptance.
Yeah. I didn't even want to go. I applied as a joke. You know what I'm saying? You know, it was a practical joke.
That's hilarious. And so wait, you said you are from California?
Yeah.
Okay, heard that. Do you really appreciate the California culture?
Yeah, I gotta say, yes and no. It depends what California culture you're speaking about.
Tell me what you mean.
Because I think like when you talk about like LA hip hop, yeah, I definitely appreciate that because like all the parties I would go to in high school, like all the functions, like it was always like underground, like whatever. Back when like Draco the Ruler was just coming up, like I don't know, senior year of high school, it's like 03 Greedo, Draco the Ruler, Frosty the Snowman. One Take just started blowing up, and like you would just hear this, like even like YG. I remember when Just Read Up 2 dropped in middle school, and I was just like, this is crazy. And so that, as far as that, or like even like Haley, well, there's a whole gang of LA rappers that are tight, and I think like they like really shaped, if not necessarily my music, I think like my cultural experience living in LA. But do I like mess with the LA culture as far as like influencer culture, like the clout chasing, everyone moving here and thinking they're gonna like, you know, they had like everyone comes to LA and like LA is fake, and I'm like, yes, because everyone moves to LA to be fake. But if you go to the parts of LA with the people who have been here, like we either have gotten used to people being fake so we don't really care, or we like know genuine people. I think because if you notice, a lot of hip hop songs from LA are about hanging out with people that you know and since you were 2 years old. Like, oh, I ride for my niggas. Oh, my day ones. Like, it's like, bro, it's literally a song called My Nigga, like about just hanging out with people that you've known forever. And it's like, yes, because people move here to like become this vision of who they have for themselves, and like, yeah, like they're weird, they're in it for clout, so I hang out with the people that I've been here with.
Bro, absolutely.
So I both mess with it and I don't mess with it.
I can totally relate, bro. So in Delaware, we definitely don't have anybody moving. I'm from Delaware. Nobody moving there for clout or anything like that. But it's the same kind of like Wyatt, who you just met, my roommate. I've known him since we were like 10 years old. Like in Delaware, it's like that. It's like everybody grows up together and you all come up together, and it's that like sense of community and camaraderie, which I can tell you actually hold really dear to you, because from what I could tell from your Instagram, like you came into USC and you made like a crew, and then that was like your crew that you still ride with today, right?
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely part of like a few different friend groups, but I've definitely like valued those friend groups throughout the same time. It's actually crazy. My roommate freshman year, I've known him since 6th grade, and I still hang out with bro probably like 2-3 times a week. I'm over at his house, or just like, yeah, actually there's a few people I've known since middle school or high school that are actually still with me here at SC that I still see on like a pretty regular basis.
Bro, that's amazing. That stuff is not like super common across our country, I don't think. Like I do think it's isolated to the right areas of our country, you know, like in LA. Like I do
Yeah.
think like, yes, there's people that go around and explore all the time, but there's also the people that like, they are in LA, they're here to make their money, you know?
Yeah, I
And they
think
hang
it's
out
just
with their
because
boys.
like I feel like a lot of other places like people have this like desire to get out, and I do have a desire definitely to see the world and go other places. But I'm thinking, I'm like, there's not really a ton of places in America that I like want to live besides LA. I'm like, what other first world country has a city with that's this big with weather that's this good? Like
Totally.
Like, yeah, New York is tight. Like, yeah, London's tight. Yeah, like Hong Kong, but it's like they all get cold. They all have terrible winters. Like, bro, if Toronto was warm, I'd move right now.
Oh,
But
on
it's
God,
not.
yeah. And Kevin always talks about Australia, but it's like always on fire. You know, like
Yeah.
it's nice, but then it gets really hot and catches on fire.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, LA do be.
I was gonna say that too. We kind of had that problem here as well. So if you're from California, do you have? I hope you don't mind me asking. Do you have like a good relationship with your family? Did they like you staying close by? How close are they?
Yeah, my mom is pretty juiced that I can just drive home. I'm not gonna lie.
I
Like,
believe it.
anytime like mom, like, yo, like I'll be like, oh, like I'm kind of like, I'll just mention something like, oh, like it's kind of crazy, like I'm having a problem with this. She's like, oh, like you could come home and I'll get it for you. I'm like, no, I wasn't asking you to like get me anything. I was just telling you what my life. She's like, no, like you could come home. Like I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll come home. Like, yes, okay, I need your help. Like,
Absolutely,
yeah.
bro.
And then
So
sometimes I do, but it's
I transferred from New
haven't.
Jersey and it was the same thing. My mom, I was like 45 minutes away, and my mom was just like, come home whenever you want. Oh, you want me to do your laundry? I'm like, no, I'm a grown ass man. Don't do my laundry. Just tell me you love me and it'll all be okay. That's all I need. So then we'll kind of like go through chronologically, right? So when you get to USC, tell me about like coming into USC. Did you come in as a music industry major?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I
Actually,
came-
before we can get there, then tell me about how you fell in love with music, or like what your relationship is with music before you got here.
Okay, so I guess I've always been around music. I feel like it's every person. Like this is like the typical like rapper R&B story. Like my family's really good at music. My mom was really into church.
Is that what you're about to say?
Yeah, like yes, that's literally. It's like yeah, my dad used to be in a band, and my mom's like a ridiculous piano player. She's been playing piano for over 50 years. She played in church. I was in church every weekend. I had to sing because my mom was the lady playing piano. So like, yeah, I'm gonna sing if it's my mom
It
playing.
sounds cliche, but it's also
Yeah.
not, bro. Because like, there's other kids who go to church, they don't sing. Like, I know kids who spent their whole life in church every week who never got into music, and I also
That's
know
true.
people whose parents are musicians that were like, "We don't want you to be a musician," you know. So don't put yourself in that box.
Yeah, it's like I feel like it's definitely this typical like oh like you're
I've
an
definitely heard
R&B
it though,
singer
yeah.
and like you started music in church like oh like didn't see that coming.
So then, well, actually, it sounds good. So then they kind of like encourage that development in music, right?
Well, it was kind of like it's kind of like more like not even encouraging my development because I was kind of a stubborn kid. So my
Okay.
mom never forced me to learn an instrument. She was like, bruh, it's so hard to just get this dude to do hooked on phonics or just like just to read a book. Like this dude fights me on everything. Like he doesn't want to eat vegetables. Like you think I'm gonna make him do an elective? Like I'm trying to get him to do GE kid shit. Like but I think ironically because she never made me do music is the reason I like it. Because-
Definitely.
And so it was just always around me, like, and I'm just watching my mom, and, like, I'm just like, yo, it's just normal for your mom to just be, like, a ridiculous piano player. I'm like, this is regular. Like, it's normal for your dad to just own a guitar. And, like, I just have all kinds of music, like, listening to, like, apparently my parents used to play, like, The Girl from Ipanema to, like, help me go to bed. Like,
Classic.
like, all kinds of, like, bossa nova, jazz, Frank Sinatra. Then my dad... his like favorite music, I was like listening to like heavy metal. I'd be like listening to heavy metal and like Frank Sinatra in the same day. My mom like disco, gospel music,
Damn.
reggae, like jazz. I think jazz was like my parents' common ground, but it wasn't just like American jazz. Like they had like this jazz from the World album. They had like old calypso albums, like Harry Belafonte. So these people were just like indoctrinating me with like the founding blocks of like all music, and then.
people.
Yeah. And then like I think they were like surprised like in middle school when I was like I want to make beats and they're like what? Like I'm like
That's what I was just about to ask you.
Yeah.
So then how did that converge? Because
So-
what's like distinctly interesting about everything you just mentioned to me, it's all super live instrument, you know, everything, bossa nova, jazz, very focused on the live sound. But we live in this world now. We came up in the world of like digital production, you know, like I got Logic when I was like 17, 18.
Yeah.
I just started making beats
Shout
in
out
there.
Logic.
Exactly, right? So yeah, tell me, how did they feel about the digital era and obviously like how did you get into it?
So it originally started in 5th grade. My friend started a band and I wanted to be in it, but I didn't know how to play any instruments. They're like, you can't be in the band. You don't know how to play any instruments.
What a dick.
And I was like, all right, like, that's a fair point.
I was gonna say,
yeah, it's like,
that kind of adds up.
It's like, yeah, that's a fair point you raised. I can't be in your band because I don't sing or play any instruments. Like that is a big logistical hurdle. But I was like, nah, like I need to do this. Like I was so pissed. I was like, bro, like I have to be in a band. And like I always just had like these musical ideas. Like I remember I wrote like a remix to I'm on a Boat or something like that. Like I would like randomly like rewrite songs. Like I wrote like little like shitty songs in like elementary school, but I had no musical skills, so I had no way to like show anyone my idea. But in my head, I was like, oh, this is so lit. Like this is so good.
Were you the type to make like rap songs for class?
Like,
because that's what like my roommate used to do.
I had like rap songs, I had rock songs. Like I was like writing like, okay, like I was listening to like, I really didn't get to listen to rap until middle school because again, church mom. Like I was living in elementary school. I lived in like I had a random stint of 1st through 5th grade. My family moved to Tucson, Arizona, because they're like LA's too crazy. Like
okay.
I used to live walking distance from Sunset Boulevard, and my parents were like, "Why are we raising children walking distance from Sunset Boulevard?"
That's crazy.
And then I think they moved to Arizona, and they're like, "Oh, I think we kind of overdid it," and they came back. But there's this period I'm in Tucson, Arizona, like. I'm like the only other black person is like this other kid, Kwame Kalonzo. Like he's from Kenya. I'll never forget his name because I'm like, it's just me and this Kenyan dude. Shout out Kwame wherever he's at. And then I was like, and then I moved back to LA and someone showed me Lil Wayne. And I was like, bruh, what the fuck is this? Like, this is the greatest shit I've ever heard.
You know what album, what song? For me, the quintessential Lil Wayne song, which I know is not a common take, is Mrs. Officer.
That
is my favorite Lil Wayne song.
What was the first Lil Wayne song I heard? It might have been like whatever like was out at the time. I think someone just showed me. I think it was No Love with Eminem was like the first time I was like, okay, this dude's crazy, and I just started listening to everything he had. Like I think I've like heard like Lil Wayne has way too many songs to hear like every one of his songs. So like. Every album I've heard all the Cash Money Hot Boys songs. I heard all the solo albums, like the Carter 1, the Carter 2, the Carter 3, the Carter 4, the album with Birdman, like Father, like Son, like all like these, all the mixtapes.
With the sound, yeah.
Yeah, and it was just like, the lyrics were just like, it was the punchlines for me, because I'm always I'm always like jokes and like puns and just like kind of double entendres, and I'm like, this dude's the king of that. It's the same reason I also really like Nas. I was like, it's storytelling, it's punchlines, like it's crazy. And so that's like really what got me into hip hop and starting to make beats. And then I'm like, my mom's from Jamaica, and like I was always listening to like just different kinds of Caribbean music, whether it's like like Caribbean jazz, like Cuban jazz, Puerto Rican jazz, whether it be like old Calypso albums, whether it's reggae, etc. And then I discovered Dance Hall, and I was like, yo.
I don't even know what that is.
So Dance Hall, Sean Paul is technically Dance Hall.
Okay.
Because like in America, there's a really bad job of differentiating like world music.
Totally.
But essentially like Shaggy, Shabba Ranks, Beanie Man, like all that's dance. And then like modern terms like Popkin, Vibes Cartel, Coffee is like kind of a middle ground, which I think she's more technically dance hall, but like all that music is like it's basically, so reggae like kind of splits. It goes into dance. Well, it's like Calypso and Rocksteady goes into reggae, then which turns into dance hall, which then diverges in like dance hall goes to New York, and like all like, so basically they have like this sound system culture, like these huge sound systems they set up in the middle of the street, and people just basically they'll just like play beats like these like reggae or dance hall beats, and people rap over them, and they call, or like toast over them, and they call them rhythms. And the DJing style goes to America, and it influences hip hop. The hip hop DJing, like all the original DJ Kool Herc, Grandmaster Flash, they're all Caribbean. And it's like, if you think about it, anything that's happening in New York in the 70s, there's Caribbean people involved.
Bro,
and so
yeah, continue, please.
Yeah, all this DJing stuff originally comes like from Caribbean, like Jamaican culture. It mixes in with all these like soul records that are in New York. So these DJs start using this like sound system technique, and then not Cool Herc, Grandmaster Flash like develops like the like hip hop style of like break beats and all that stuff. But it comes from the sound system culture that's been going on in Jamaica since like the 50s, 60s. And then at the same time, there's in the 1930s, 1920s, whenever the Panama Canal was built, people from Jamaica moved from Jamaica to the Panama Canal to go build it. My great-grandpa was actually one of these people, but he moved back. But Jamaican people stayed. Their children grow up with cousins in Jamaica visiting back and forth, but they're speaking Spanish at school. But like in Jamaica, they speak English in like patois, which is like when you hear like a dance hall or like reggae record, like what the hell are they saying? That's patois. And so they're like listening to this dance hall coming from Jamaica, but they're going to school and speaking all their friends in Panama in Spanish.
Wow.
So they combine the two, they create reggaeton. Reggaeton's originally from Panama, which is also from dance hall. Then these people go to Miami and New York, and it ends up coming back to Puerto Rico and becomes global.
Dude.
But it's like, so dance hall is really like low-key the originator of like all like the biggest genres, and like it also like made its way to Africa. There's a huge dance hall scene in Ghana now. Like Shatta Wale, who was on the Beyonce Black is King album, is technically a dance hall artist. Like Stonebwoy is technically a dance hall artist. Like the biggest, there's like old WizKid tweets being like Vybz Kartel, who is like to me is the best dancehall artist of all time, one of the biggest dancehall artists of all time. There's old WizKid tweets. Like I wake up and listen to Vybz Kartel every day for inspiration. Like,
damn. So you just unpacked so much. Honestly, I actually learned a lot because in what you just said, because for some reason I had this interpretation that like the hip hop scene came from disco. And I know that they were like sampling disco, and that's like kind of where I draw that, but I had never thought of like what came before all that. And also disco is like so American, which is like not really what the basis of hip hop is, like what you're saying with the Caribbean and
it's kind of like a mixing of cultures, because like New York is always just like there's new immigrants coming in and they're like taking their shit and combining it with the shit that's already here. So they have this like sound system culture. There's a shit ton of Jamaicans just with these, like literally, if you see these speakers, like they're like basically like building their own speakers, like taping speakers together. And this is happening in Jamaica since the 50s. Like people go into the streets, like they have dances in the street, like they're playing in the 50s. Like I remember my grandma telling me like they're playing like old jazz records. They're listening to like Sarah Vaughan, but like on these huge speakers in the street, and they're dancing. And these people come and they're doing this in America too. And then at the same time, they're meeting African-American people because they're all living in the same neighborhoods. Like people don't even know, like there's Caribbean people who are involved in like the Harlem Renaissance too. Like if you read like the autobiography of Malcolm X, there's like ton of Caribbean people in that. Like in New York, there's always been Caribbean people, and they're always contributing in the culture. And there's always new people coming and immigrating, bringing their ideas and melding it with the old. So they're hearing these disco records, they're hearing these soul records, these funk records, but then they also have this new sound system technology, this culture, and they're combining it with like these neighborhood block parties, and it just comes together if everyone just like creates hip hop. Like the same as reggaeton. It's like, yo, we have these dance hall records, we have like this sound system culture, but it's like, but we live in Panama now, like we want to do this shit in Spanish. It's actually crazy. They like,
it is crazy.
There's a specific Shabba Ranks song called Dem Bow, and literally like it's arguable that like 80 to almost 100% of reggaeton beats are based off this one rhythm called Dem Bow.
No way.
Yes, if you play it for you right, it's like this old Shabba Ranks record of the 80s, and you listen to it, you'd be like, wow, this is like, yes, this sounds like reggaeton.
This is
like,
the epitome of reggaeton. Yeah.
Like, it's literally like, it's the foundation.
Let me ask you a broad question based on everything you just said.
Bet.
Are you a firm believer in the fact that music brings different communities together?
Yes, yeah. I definitely think like music is, I feel like music is a bridge for people because it allows like, it gives you a platform to tell your story. Like I think you can use music for whatever you want. You can use music to bring people together. You can use music to bring people apart, because like music brings people together, but then you also have like rap beef. Like people have died over songs. Like people have like, you know, A Change Gonna Come was like the theme song of like the civil rights movement. But like you can do anything with music. I think it's just like a powerful vehicle. Like it brings people closer to God. People sing songs in church. I think it's just like a way of communicating things with sound and lyrics that just like catches you and gets people to pay attention, or gets people in the right mind state to hear your message. Because it's like, at the end of the day, like if someone was just like, you just saw some random guy on the street corner. He's like, I'm so cool. I have so much money. Like, everyone likes me. My chain is big. You'd be like, look at this homeless guy is crazy. But it's like you put a beat behind it and you're like, oh my God, like Lil Wayne, like Nas, Tupac, like this guy's a genius. Like bro, if Kanye West was just standing on a street corner like, yeah, I'm a genius, he'd be like, yo, like this guy is nuts. But like, you put it over a beat and you're like, yo, this guy's a genius. Like this is tight. So I feel like it's just like, it gives people a reason to listen to what you have to say, and whatever you want to do with that, like that's on you.
To build on that, I heard a statement once from, it was actually the lead singer of Cobra Starship. Are you familiar? They have I'll make them good girls go bad. Yeah. So that's Cobra Starship, and the lead singer came in with Mike Kaminsky for whatever. He was just giving a speech, and he said, like, you don't fall in love with the sound or the music, you fall in love with the artist. Do you believe in that?
I think it depends.
How so?
Because I would say sometimes you fall.
I'll expand on it. So
that's
it is, right?
question.
So something that, and I actually think about that all the time when I listen to music. I'm like, am I fucking with this song, or am I fucking with the energy that the person is bringing to this track and what they're saying, you know? And it's not to say they're mutually exclusive. Obviously, you could fuck with neither or both. But I find that like songs that last with me for a long time are songs where like the lyrics make I relate to them. Like I feel like this person is now speaking for me in what they're saying on the track. And I'm like, damn, this song means a lot to me. And then that becomes a song I love forever. As opposed to like a song that's like a banger and I hear it and I'm like, this is catchy and I like it for a minute, you know?
Okay. I think it really depends. I think some songs are so because of the artist. I think some songs that have stood the test of time, like, bro, I like could not tell you shit about Bach other than like he's maybe like technically the greatest composer. Honestly, I don't even like, oh my God, my family would be so ashamed of me to say this. I don't really like classical music that much. With some exceptions, there's some songs that are tight, but in general, I'm like, it's not my first choice to listen to. However, am I like, is this like objectively a good piece of music? Like, it's lasted longer than like, literally, like, there's empires that have come and gone, like kingdoms have fallen, and people are still like, yeah, like, I'm gonna play some Bach, like, and I don't think it has anything to do with like people think Bach is, no one fucking knows what Bach, like, no, like, I don't even know what he looks like, but it's like he has thousands of songs. But then on the other hand, it's like, bro, are people listening to Tekashi 6ix9ine because they like him as a person? Like, he's literally like. Like, yeah, it's like the music, like, okay, if you think that's good, like, I guess, like, you know, that's like your personal opinion, but like, you're probably listening to him because he has purple hair and like yells, and it's just like this ridiculous like person. And it's honestly, you don't even really like the artist because he's kind of a terrible person, but it's like, bro, this dude is so ridiculous. Like people are hate watching like his music videos. They're like, fuck it, like, this is so ridiculous, I have to watch it. But it's like, you're watching it because he's him. Like, there's so many people who make music just like this that nobody cares about.
I don't think I've ever heard that term before. Hate watching? That is a really relevant term right now. Like, extremely relevant. Like, I think and we don't have to go on this tangent, but like what gets fed to us on social media is either stuff that like we love or we hate. And I've never thought of that before. The
so I think it probably goes either way. Like, I think some music is like because of the artist, sometimes it's because of the song, sometimes it's both. Like, I think there's what did Drake say in the line about ghostwriting? He's like, if these people wrote all my hits, but they don't have any hits without me, it sounds like they needed me. Or it's like, we know like artists like Cardi B doesn't write all her own music, but it's like, if someone, like, there's tons of women who rap just like Cardi B, if not better than, but Cardi B has like gone beyond music. Like, you listen to her music, like, is WAP like a groundbreaking song? Like, is that the best record I've ever heard? Like, no, but is it the number one record in the country? Like, yes. Like, why are people listening to it? It's like, because Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion made a song together, and they're shaking their ass, and they're really hot, and they're really funny, and everyone likes them. Like,
it's about the personality.
It's about the personality, but then at the same time, it's like, man, like, fuck, niggas hate R. Kelly and still listen to his music. It's like, bruh, you know how mad I am that R. Kelly's a terrible person and I can't listen to his music? I'm like, bruh, I DJ. I want to play Ignition at every party.
Of course, yeah.
And I don't because I'm like, R. Kelly should be in a prison. He is in prison, but I'm like, is it still a good song?
Right.
Yes. Am I ever going to play it again? No. So I'm like, does the song really have to do with the person? Because it's like, that song is so good. I hate him, but I'm still like, damn, it's still a fucking good song. I kind of miss it.
I would definitely agree 100% with the concept of like the personality of the character is almost more relevant than like what they're putting out at this point. Do you think that's always been the case, or do you think that's like pretty new?
I think before media, it was impossible to really like have that kind of sway. And like, I guess like you could see live performance and like someone could sell you on a song. But at the end of the day, like when people are selling player piano rolls or the only way you can distribute music in mass before recorded music is sheet music. Like, no, it has to be a good song because you don't get to see the artist. Like, yeah, their genius comes across on the page and it's like, this song is great because this person is a genius or because this person had this really creative moment. But it's like the song itself is like a physical embodiment of their genius. And it had to be because you don't get to see their face. Like, it's just a piano roll. It's just a sheet music. It's just like a piece of music that you're playing, and it's up to the player to interpret it. And that's why it's like, yo, we have jazz standards that are like literally public domain. Like, people don't even make money off them anymore. Like, they're beyond copyright, and like people still play them because they're great songs. Like, bro, I don't know if Louis Armstrong was a cool guy, or like Louis Armstrong was a cool guy. Like, he could have been the greatest guy ever. He could have been a douche. Like, I don't know, but like. The album
But he made
slaps.
good music.
Yeah.
He said the album slaps. Bro, that is a hugely interesting point. I had never thought about bringing it all the way back to sheet music, but I asked because I find myself so turned off from like what's coming out of at least in the hip hop community right now. Like personally myself.
Yeah, rap kind of like with some exceptions kind of sucks.
Kind of sucks. It's getting old. It's getting like repetitive. It's become so much more about like, how can I catch everybody's attention? You know, like not how can I make a song that everybody loves? I'm just curious, like, how you've been feeling, because you're clearly a huge hip-hop fan. Like, how have you been feeling about
I think hip-hop's in its hairband era.
Hairband era?
Yeah.
Explain that.
It's, like, kind of gimmicky, like, literally like, in the 80s, like, you had hairbands, they smashed their guitars on stage, they had big hair, they had ridiculous outfits. It's like, bro, everyone has a face tattoo. It's like, you're not a gangster, you're not a criminal, you're not tough, you're some 16-year-old from Idaho. Why are you on so many drugs? Why is your hair purple? Why do you have a face tattoo? Like, why are you wearing this ridiculous outfit? And I'm like, if that's a really genuinely, like, bro, when I look at like Lil Uzi, I'm like, yo, he literally, like, this is who Lil Uzi is. When I'm on Melrose at a rap showcase and there's 10 niggas that are trying to look like broke versions of Lil Uzi, I'm like, bruh, like you're not like, you don't need to be fully tatted. Like, why is your face tatted? Like,
it's no longer original. I feel
it's
like that's
it's
overplayed.
like, it's not an original statement. It's like, I know like 30 people who look like this.
Yep.
And it's like, honestly, it's like, you don't, like, your music isn't this artistic, so it's like, why is your look? Like, I feel like everyone's just buying like literally like 6'9". It's like, why do you look like this?
I really always wonder that. It's just for attention, right? Like it's specifically just to become like more successful.
And it's
quote
like,
unquote.
some people, like when I see 03 Greedo and I'm like, yo, this dude is a real like Watts Crip with charges. Like, it makes sense why he's fully tatted. Like, he comes from that culture. He's really from LA. Like, where people really do this. But it's like, a lot of these people aren't from this culture. Like, even when you see Lil Pump or like 6ix9ine and they're like saying nigga and you're like, they have dreadlocks. I'm like, bro, like, you're not even like black. Like, why do you have locks? Like, why do you have whatever? And it's like, you don't need to do this, because at the same time, Jack Harlow is killing the rap game rapping about being white. And I'm like, if you're good, you don't have to cap. Like, he's like, 5 white boys, but we're not in sync. Like, he literally says it in a song. It's one of my favorite rap songs this year, because I'm like, wow, like, dude's just made a really good song about being a white boy. Like, this is great. Like, this is better. Like, this is crazy.
Do you think Jack Harlow, and I'm struggling to come up with like another comparable example, but do you think like there are people coming out right now that are not doing this whole like trying to look crazy for attention that will impact the scene? Or on a grander question, like, what do you think would be the next step to get us out of this hip-hop era? I know that's like super, there's no right answer, obviously.
Yeah, you know, I've honestly been thinking about that a lot, because I've always been like excited about what's next, at least when I was younger, about what's next in hip-hop. And honestly, like, kind of tapped out on hip hop. Like I was supposed to DJ this event this weekend and it ended up getting canceled. But I was literally texting my little cousins like, "What are y'all listening to?" Like, mind you, it was like for someone younger. They were like, it's like an 18th or like 19th birthday or whatever. But I was like texting my younger cousins in high school, like, "What do y'all listen to?" Because like really, I listen to R&B, dancehall, and Afro beats. And like hip hop is. I listen to a lot of LA stuff, but I think it's because I'm like more ingrained in the culture and I see it day to day and I like work with artists who really do it. But it's like, I don't know. I don't know what's next. I couldn't tell you. Like, it seems like it's gotten very, of course, again, I have to say with exceptions, like very corporate, very like calculated. Like there's a formula. And then a lot of like the older rappers like that were really pushing the envelope, one are old now. Like, bro, it's crazy to think Kendrick Lamar is 30, Drake is 30 something. Like Jay-Z is 50 something, Wayne is 30 something, Kanye is like 40 something. Like all these like really like when I think of like J. Cole is 30 something, and I'm like, okay, who's the next generation of like rappers creatively pushing the envelope? Like even Future, I'm like, Future is 30. Like and it's like, okay, you have like rappers who like the SoundCloud era where people push the aesthetic of like they pushed in a new look. Like Uzi definitely pioneered the sound, like Cardi pioneered the sound, but now it's like, okay, what's next? And I honestly couldn't tell you. Like, I couldn't tell you what city is up next. I couldn't tell you what sound. I guess drill is like the new thing, but drill is old because Chief Keef and like Dirk and all the dudes on O Block, JoJo, whatever, Montana 300. Like, drill has been around for damn near 10 years. It went all the way to London, came back to New York. Now it's in Africa. And like that seems like the next wave of hip hop, but it's not new. But I think that's like kind of our era is like hip hop was based on sampling other people's songs. And then we live kind of in a nostalgic era. Like we love thrifting. So I like low key think the future might be looking back because like what else is there for people to do? Like
speaking on looking back, I have two theories of my own. One, on looking back, I think we'll start seeing more acoustic sound, rappers on top of pianos, on top. I mean, obviously that's like not new and still happens all the time. But like I imagine a possibility where it's just like only acoustic sounds, acoustic drum, acoustic piano, acoustic guitar, and then a rapper. You know, like I think that would be really interesting. But that's way away from like this 808 sound that we're all obsessed with now.
Like almost like neo soul rap.
Yes, something like that. Like I think that has potential to come back. But then what really surprised me was hyperpop. Hyperpop is huge now. Are you like 100 Gex? Are you familiar at all?
I know the name.
100 Gex or Break-Ins or so basically it's this.
You're mentioning names I heard of, but I've never really tapped in with
I can describe. It's basically dubstep melodies and drums and then like really automated vocals, usually like pitch shifting, crazy auto-tune, stuff like that. But it's like over top of a...
Oh, wait, I have heard, bro. Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes,
I'm actually not doing a good job of describing it, but...
you know exactly what you're talking about. One of my boys has played me...
One of those people, probably. Yeah. So I think like that is also potential because everybody makes music on their computer now and everybody has access to microphones at home now. It's really easy to just like make really digitalized, like over-processed music. So I think that could also be like what we see in the future. But
are we talking about hip-hop or just music in general?
I was talking about hip-hop. I guess I'm talking about music in general. But like, yeah, even hip-hop. Like I just heard this guy, Midwest, and he's a rapper, but he does it over hyperpop music.
Interesting.
It's really interesting. I highly recommend. Midwest with like an X in there somewhere. It's like MXD or something. But I was going to ask you to expand on a few different things, but I'd love to get back like into your more personal life.
Okay, yeah.
Tell me about it. To me, I would assume based on what you said so far that your Jamaican heritage is kind of important to like your character. Or is it not?
I think it's like definitely important to my identity. Maybe to my character as well. I think it's definitely like there's certain things that are valued in different cultures, and I feel really blessed to like kind of have an outsider like perspective on America, like both the Canadian perspective.
That's what I was going to ask you, like,
and the Jamaican perspective as well.
Do you also cherish your Canadian perspective? Your Canadian?
I do. It's actually funny because my mom moved from Jamaica to Canada before she moved to America, and she's actually a Canadian citizen still.
Okay.
And she honestly like she loves Canada like more than my dad does. Like, my dad's an American citizen. My mom still got her green card after like 20 years. She's like, nope, I love Canada. Like, she's like, America. Well, she moved to the South about like 5 years after segregation ended. So
Jesus.
didn't really get a great go at it. Like, she's in Orlando, Florida. People are like talking. They called the Civil War the War of Northern Aggression.
Oh my God.
Like people like
I've never heard that.
Yeah, like when people complimented you, they'd be like, "That's mighty white of you," and she's like, I don't." She's like, "I was having a great time in Toronto. Like, I don't really mess with this whole America." Like, so it's like interesting. Like, yeah, like think about it. Like, my mom never pledged allegiance because she's like, "I'm not American. Like, why would I pledge allegiance?" I'm like, so like I have definitely have like a different take on like American society because I think like foreign people like in general all like think Americans are dumb, and like it's like this like damn, or like I'm at like with my family and they're like, what the hell is people doing in America? Like my grandparents are like, they're like calling me like, what the hell is Donald Trump doing? Like these guys are idiots. And I'm like, meanwhile like old people in America are like Trump, and like old Canadian people are like, what the hell? Like this guy's, your country sucks. Or like,
was her experience in Canada like very positive? I personally haven't spent any time in Canada. I know nothing of, and your dad's from there, so tell me like what the background was in Canada.
So they had two very different Canadian experiences.
Definitely.
Vancouver, Canada is where my dad is from. Was originally very white, and then they had a lot of Asian immigration, and there continues to be a lot of Asian immigration.
I did not know that.
So it's mostly white and then Chinese and Japanese people. Some of the best Chinese food you can get in the Northern Hemisphere is in Vancouver, Canada.
That's crazy.
Huge Chinese population, huge Japanese population. The Asian population is very well off. It's very beautiful. It's freezing cold in the winter. It rains a lot. It doesn't snow as much in Vancouver. The summer is beautiful. It's like trees, pine trees. Like that's where Whistler is. There's great skiing. Really cool vibes. Everyone's like very nice. No one, like if people are ever mad at you, it's very passive aggressive.
Yeah. That's how I picture it.
Shouts out to, I'm a big fan of Vancouver. Toronto, I've actually never been, and I'm mad. Because Toronto actually, outside of like probably New York and London and Miami, has like one of the biggest Caribbean populations in the world. So my mom was having a great time being Jamaican up there. That's why that's why like Drake has like all these like Jamaican sounding songs in Toronto. Like everyone else in OVO who's black is, besides The Weeknd, who's East African, is all Jamaican. Roy Wood's Jamaican, Party Next Door's Jamaican, Boy Wonder's Jamaican. Like,
didn't know that.
Rap stars, bro. There's so many Caribbean people in Toronto. They literally have a week-long festival called Caravana, and it's basically like carnival. In like it goes, it's like in August, and it's crazy, like huge Caribbean population.
That sounds like the best.
Like if you go on YouTube, you can like there's like people call like For Y'all Entertainment. There's other dudes, like there's a couple other dudes, but like the Canadian Jamaican accent is like, if you listen to Drake songs, if you hear it, you like hear it, like you know who mans are, like yo mans come, like, and if you listen, like yo, like it's like a lot of it's like from Caribbean slang, and that's why Toronto slang and London slang all sound similar. It's because of like the divergence of, it's basically like Jamaica is was at one point a British Commonwealth country. I think it still might be, and so like they're going to Canada because it's hardest to get an American visa. So a lot of Caribbean people went to Canada, went to London, and then you also have like, you know, London has a lot of like West African influence as well, but it's all like kind of mixing, and that's why a lot of the slang is the same. Like, yo, we're about to forward, like you're a waste youth, like all that
Waste
stuff. Like,
man.
Yeah, waste man. Like waste man's originally like that's originally Jamaican. Like patois, like touch road, like forward, like all this stuff you hear in Drake songs is all like Caribbean shit.
Heard that. So you never made it to that like big festival. Did you go to other like live shows with your family coming up, or was it something they kind of avoided because they sound like they're more like, I'm not speaking for your family.
Bro, I'm not gonna lie,
reserved?
I definitely got robbed of a lot of Caribbean cultural experiences living in Los Angeles. Like,
Right.
I would be the lone. I used to get flamed for listening to like. I also really like Afro beats too, because I'm like, it's all like, it's not the same as dance hall, but it's similar vibes and like low key dance hall influenced Afro beat, because like for a while, like, well, yeah, like dancehall is huge in Ghana, and it has like a lot of influence on Afrobeat as well. So there is some similarities besides like the fact that it all originally comes from Africa anyway. But so I would be like the lone dude. It was literally me, and I had a homie who was from Ghana, and his cousin was actually like a Ghanaian rapper, or no, technically hip life artist who had won like some Ghana MTV award.
Dude.
So he was showing me all this like African music, and I would like show him dancehall, and like we would literally get made fun of, like style, like, why are you guys listening to this? Like, this sucks. Like, what the hell are they talking about? I'm like, this is fire. I was like, first of all, like, this is Vibes Cartel. Like, you're dumb. Like,
Definitely.
This guy literally is like like more globally recognized than like most like the rappers that y'all like. So I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, yeah, like there's like kind of just me listening to it. But like when I've gone back in my more adult life, I've definitely like gone out, and my uncle is like low key like kind of a big photographer in Jamaica. Like he's photographed like one of Sean Paul album covers.
Whoa.
Like he's photographed all the Marleys except for Bob. He's photographed Usain Bolt. He's photographed like one of the Cranium. I think it was Cranium. No, it wasn't Cranium.
All the legends.
No, it
from
was
the area.
Cranium album cover. Like, yeah, he's photographed like a lot of like, he's photographed like Coffee. Like,
That's crazy.
he shot some videos for people. Yeah, he's like kind of big like in the Jamaican dancehall reggae scene. So like going back with him, like I've definitely met some people like, or like he like has put me onto some vibes, and then just kind of like going out in Jamaica has like put me onto some vibes. But honestly, I just really stay tapped in like via the internet. Like I can just look up the charts. I can like go on Twitter and see what's trending. Like, and like it's kind of like a global culture. And like my cousin lived out there for a few years, so like him and I talk about it. And then now that I'm SC, there's like more people. There's like some Caribbean students who I'm able to like share it with. But it's like, yeah, it's like it's kind of crazy because like when I'm in LA, I'm like, it feels like something that makes me feel very like original. But then if like when I do the few times like I have gone back to Jamaica, it's something that makes me feel like part of a group. And it's like kind of weird,
Totally.
like switching back and forth.
Definitely. Bro, I'm jealous of people who have like multiple heritages that they can like touch into and try to like inspire themselves. Like I feel like all of human life, this is super deep, like all of human life is trying to discover like who you are, you know, and like
Facts.
bestow as much knowledge to other people as you can. And I think being able to access these different perspectives is really beneficial in like self-discovery and proposing it to other people. But on a more musical note, do you find yourself like actively taking things from those music genres that you've been growing up with and putting them into your own sound?
Oh, for sure. I don't have any out yet, but I for sure have like, I don't know if I want to call it dancehall because I feel like people who live in Jamaica would flame me for even thinking that what I'm creating. Like, yeah, it's like, I don't know, like the dancehall culture, they guard that shit like no other. Like if you're not authentic, like you're not. So yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna fully claim. It's definitely dancehall influence. Yeah. Like I'm doing my best. The best patois I can do, which, you know, it's not.
Yes, bro.
It's like, you know what I'm saying?
But also nothing is one genre anymore.
It's like,
so.
Bro, it's like people like who are like speak Spanglish. Like I'm speaking like I'm Jamaican-ish. Like there's just show Blackish. Like I'm Jamaican-ish.
Yeah, I'm Jewish, so I do feel it. It's true. I'm true though.
Yeah, you're like, yo, I'm not quite Israeli, but like, you know, I enjoy Hanukkah.
Yeah,
like,
I do. My dad's Jewish. I never went to synagogue, but my dad's Jewish.
Yes, yo, I didn't grow up in Kingston, but I do enjoy curry goat. So it's like, you know, I'm halfway there with you, but
I was gonna ask because it's, I mean, you don't have like a massive collection of music. I'm assuming we have an album coming soon or something along the lines.
I have enough songs to make an album,
Exactly,
but
yeah.
like I low-key realized, I was like, if people don't really know who I am, no one's gonna want to listen to an album yet. So it's like just drop singles, let people decide what they like, and when the time like feels right. I'm not trying to force like a full project on anyone.
Of course, but what I was gonna say is that the two songs that I investigated most with like my critical listening were, was it Brown Skin, Brown Liquor?
Mm-hmm.
And then I can't remember the name. It's a trap song you had with like, no, sorry, it's a West Coast song with P-Lux and another rapper.
Oh my, yes.
Uchi
Wally. It's like a
Wally,
remix of a Nas song, yeah.
Unfamiliar with the Nas song, so it sounded original to me. But like they are extremely different sounds, right? So I'm just wondering, is like your versatility in sound making something you're proud of? Or are you just like trying to find a good lane or what?
I think I've just like, because I grew up listening to so much music, like I don't think I ever like considered myself. Okay, like there's one point where I considered myself to be like a hip hop producer and like a hip hop and like a rapper. But I think that was more just because it was like the most rebellious thing you could be. Like, because everyone's like, oh, like you want to be like a rock artist. Like, yeah, like that's okay. Like, you want to be like a jazz artist. Like, yeah, that's cool. Like, whatever. Like, oh, you want to be a rapper. Like, oh, they're like, oh, that's so bad.
It's
like,
lit.
It's not like, yeah, that's not like what Christian people do. Like, that's all you want to rap. Like, that's so like, bro, like people like in high school, like, oh, you're a smart kid. Like, why would you want to like go make rap music? I'm like, bro, because like, it's lit. But then when I think about it, I'm like, I really never fell into a genre. I was always like, bruh, if I could sing better, I would have like a whole R&B album out now. Then I was like, oh yeah, like there's literally auto. That's like one of the greatest realizations to me. I was like, bro, like when I got good enough at using autotune, I was like, bro, like fuck being just a rapper.
Yeah.
Like, I could literally do anything. Like I could make a rock song. Like I could make, like I low key, like when I'm old, I want to get super raw at piano and like make jazz. Like I think I just want to make everything. And it's like I listen to so much different music. It's like, why would I ever limit myself to just like, I mean, everyone of course is gonna have like a sound that they're best at, a sound that they're known for, but it's like, bro, like Drake is arguably like the biggest artist ever, and he has like 70 million different sounds. Like there's this Lil Wayne quote, I forget what song it's on. It's not even, it's like a lyric. He goes, I got so many styles, I'm a group, and I'm like low key, like yeah, like
that's fire. Yeah, bro. No, I actually, I kind of figured you'd say something like that because I am a huge believer in the fact that, like, in 2021 now, there's no genres. Almost, I feel like, is a term that will disappear because it's like everything is so blended. We've all been listening to music for like 100 years now, like recorded music for like so long, and like you just, I mean, bro, you've mentioned 20 different genres that you've been like growing up on. It would be impossible to imagine that you would just like pick one and be like, oh, my music sounds like this, you know? Of course. So I'm curious how you ended up at Brown Skin, Brown Liquor, though, because it's definitely like your most produced song. Like you definitely spent a lot of time on it. I've seen a lot of PR on it and stuff like that. Like what encouraged you to like put more time into this one track? Like what did you know? Like how did you know that this was the right time to like put more energy into a song?
So I think it all started with my boy who produced the song. My boy, Natty Classic.
Shout out Natty Classic,
bro. I met this dude crazy doing martial arts in middle school.
No, wait, what?
Yeah, super random. We both went to like the same okay. So I've done martial arts since basically like fourth grade. No, not fourth. Like pre-K through 8th grade. My dad basically just forced me to do martial arts, and I low key didn't want to do it. Now I'm kind of glad because I'm like I have like I feel like I have like could defend myself. Was like I really needed to. Like I'm like not really into violence or like trying to sound like I'm a tough guy or anything. No,
but also, bro, it's just discipline.
Yeah, because like I hate when rappers like, oh, I'm so tough. I'm like, please, like, no, I don't want to beef with you. Like, I really just like enjoying like my own peace and having a good time. Like, I don't want any enemies. Like, that's like one of my things. Like, I'm very conscious about. Like, I don't want to ever be like even attempt to be anywhere close to like a tough rapper. Because I'm like, bro, that just looks so stressful. I'm like, bro, why are you're at a party, you're not smiling, you have to walk around with like 30 people. Like, you know, like people diss you all the time. Like you have actual enemies who like hate you. I'm like, bro, like you could easily have just been like Anderson .Paak and just like chilled out. Like, bro, literally just be Wiz Khalifa and like smoke weed. Like you don't need to have enemies. Like yeah.
That was their way to shine through the light. You know, you gotta show up somehow.
People always look all like rap game, like it's tough. I'm like, yeah, like I have low key seen some crazy shit like doing management in like hip hop, but I've never been like, oh, like I want to be in it. But anyway, back to the main point. Producer like did martial arts with him, like he played piano and I like made beats. And so we always just like we followed each other on the Instagram, like always stayed in contact, and like I got way better at producing than I used to be in middle school. And he was always really like pretty good at piano, but he like got like pretty crazy. And I like comment on his stories. I'd be like, yo, like this piano thing you just did is hard. He'd be like, oh, like I really like this like beat that you did or this melody that you did. And then one time we just like, he's like, oh, I want to get into producing. And like, he was like, didn't really know anything about producing at the time, but like he was just crazy at keys. So he would play keys on stuff I did. And eventually he brought his own production program, and oh my God, he got Cubase, and within a year, he literally, I'm like, bro, like I can produce, but why the hell do I ever need to produce again? This nigga is so ridiculous. I'm like, he could make anything. Like I plug him, but like anytime anyone's like, I need this, I was like, yo, my producer can make anything. Like he has an EDM album. He's a classical composition major at UCLA. So he's like writing full like cinematic like masterpieces for his classes. Like he's making like rap beats, he's making R&B beats. I like showed him dance hall and Afrobeat. He figured out how to make it in like a week.
Crazy.
So this dude is nuts. So he sends me, this is like one of the early, we actually made that song like over a year ago.
For real?
Yeah, and then we just like, we're kind of like tweaking it, going back and forth. And then, yeah, but he sent me this beat and I was like, yo, I just had the words brown skin, brown liquor stuck in my head. And like, I kind of just like, I don't really like writing because I feel like it slows me down. So I kind of just freestyle until something sounds good. And then I just go back and like, we'll just retouch it.
Sure.
So, and then, yeah, like, I just kind of had the idea of brown skin, brown liquor in my head and, like, just kind of rocked with it and, like, let the song take me where it took me. It was definitely more of, like, a vibe than, like, a very, like, solid concept. I was like, I kind of like those words. I kind of just want to create, like, this energy. Like, it feels like you're drunk, like whatever, like, R&B, late night, sexy. And then I just, like, okay, it's, like, it's February. Black History Month, it's Valentine's Day. I was like, this record makes sense. I was like, this girl like did the cover art. Like the cover art looks crazy.
Yeah, it does.
And like I got like the right people to help me with PR. And I was like, you know what? Like, fuck it. It's time to start like investing in myself. Like we got it fully professionally mixed. So that's like another thing. I was like, I stopped mixing my own music because I was like, look, like it sounds pretty decent. Like if I want to put something on SoundCloud, I'll mix it. But I'm like, yo, like spend the extra $100, $200, get it fully mixed, record it in the studio, stop recording at home. Like,
It's good of you to not let your ego get in the way.
bruh, like that's one of the things. When I was younger, I was like, yo, you have to like do everything. You have to make the beat, write the song. You have to produce it. Otherwise, you're not a real artist. I'm like, bro, that's dumb. Like, literally, like, why would you do something when you know there's someone else better at it? Like,
Totally.
The one thing I'll never let anyone else do is write my own lyrics. But like, other than that, fuck it. Like,
Totally, bro.
I'll let, yeah.
I mean, if your job at that moment is to be the artist, your job is to just give energy to a song. Your job is not to like make it sonically perfect and all this other shit. I totally agree. It's also overwhelming when you overload like all, like if you have to be in charge of all of a song, it'll never come out, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what I realized. I was like, bro, like this whole idea of you have to make everything yourself, I'm like, it's dumb. Like every artist has like a team of so many people, and it also took so much pressure off it because I'm like, bro, I don't have to produce every song.
Exactly.
I can now give beats to other people because I'm not hoarding them. Like
That's hilarious and also true. I'm curious, in the studio, I mean, I didn't go through your whole catalog of music. I apologize. But to me, it felt like this song was one of the first times you were like really singing on a track. Do you agree?
Yeah, like I've always liked singing, and I've never really put out a singing record because my vocals, again, I never was super juiced on them because I was like, okay, I can get them to sound good, like as far as a demo. Like I have some SoundCloud songs where the singing is decent, but like, man, you get the right microphone with the right auto-tune setting and the right engineer. Like there's this other song I did politicking and recorded, and this dude just had a crazy studio. And I could like stand in the back of the booth. Like it was a big booth. I was like 10 feet from the microphone, and I could hum. And I could hear it coming through the mic, and I was like, bro, I was like all the Kanye, because I was like, bro, like how does Kanye and like Travis hum, and like the mic picks it up, and I literally was doing it, and I was like, yo, like my mic just wasn't nice enough, like the engine, I just wasn't a good enough. I was like, bro, like I just didn't have a nice enough mic, and I was like, bro, I could never afford to buy this mic, but I can afford to come here for 4 hours and record here. And I was like, that was like the moment I was like, yo, like this just unlocked like a whole, and that's why I started freestyling too, because I'm like, bro, the shit I can do at home is being limited by the technology and my expertise. But if I just go to the studio, I'm like, yo, the auto-tune's gonna be better, the mic's gonna be better, the engineer's gonna be better, the vibe's gonna be better. So I'm like, yo, I can now like creatively do so much more shit because I'm using like the resources and like knowledge of other people. And so like, yeah, I've always wanted to sing. Like my whole life I wanted to sing, but I never liked how it sounded. And this was like the first record where I was like, yo, this sounds tight.
Did it take a little while to like work yourself up to like get the right take, or was it honestly like pretty quick? Like for me, the first time I tried to sing, it took a while.
I'm not gonna lie, I've been trying to sing for probably like 6 years.
Okay.
So like I have like a few songs on SoundCloud that are like, I'm like the vocals are pretty decent, but like this was like the first one where it just like it all kind of like hit to the point. And then when it was mixed, I was like, yes, like, yeah, like yeah, like
this is the one. We love this one. Yeah. And I've seen all of the PR, and I just this will be like a long worded question, but you were actually, there's like more context that's kind of necessary. Talk about, if you don't mind, setting up the scene for like the relationships you made when you got to USC, I saw you starting to like promote shows, do PR, like sort of management type deals. You were like working with other artists. Tell me about how you got there and what that experience was like.
Okay, so basically, there's actually this dude who goes here. He's a junior, DJ Listo.
I know him.
I've known him since I was in 8th grade. It's crazy. His dad used to be my football coach.
That is crazy.
And him and I used to like, before, we always wanted to like go out and go to, like we've always been super social, wanted to go to functions, parties, like, but like, bro, we was in the valley, like we didn't have any rides, like we were just in middle school cooking up, making mediocre ass beats, like, and like we've always been cool. We always had a similar vision. In high school, we started DJing, and because I was like really one of the few other people who knew about like wiring and audio and setting up and like mixing, he would like take me and like pay me to like help him set up DJing. And like eventually I was like, yo, like someone's like, why don't you just DJ? I was like, bro, like that's true. I'm like literally, people make me get on aux on every like party, kickback party bus. I'm like, bro, I might as well
like
get
music.
paid. Yeah. And so he basically like started teaching me how to DJ, and like, so I really had to give him credit. Like his philosophy of like mixing and DJing is definitely like literally the table I use to this day is one he sold to me in high school.
Shout out.
So like I came to USC like wanting to DJ. Like I used to help throw parties, so I was like, bro, like it's time to like, you're going to college, like let's capitalize on this. So like I remember freshman year, we threw like a tailgate. I lived in Party Hall, and we figured out that there was so much noise in the quad during game days that no one would hear if we threw a giant banger on our floor.
No way.
And I was like, I was in Greek life, and then I dropped, and then when I went back, but like this semester I ended up dropping, and I was like, bro, I'm not about to stop turning up because I'm not in Greek life anymore. So I was like, bro, we'll just throw a tailgate on our floor, and we had like 60 to like 100 people. We had like 3 different rooms. I was DJing in one room. We had like Rage Cage in another room. Was that the start
of like the DJing phase? Okay.
Well, I would DJ in the dorm rooms. It'd be like 10 people like having a kickback, and I would just be on the table, and I'm like, yeah, like let's just get it started however I can.
Exactly.
And like I DJed like some other shit for free, and then my sophomore year came around, and I lived with Pure Luxury, and then my boy Rod, who I do management and throw events with. And like I had known Rod like reasonably well. I never met Lux until that summer. Cause me and Rob were like, damn, we need dudes to live with. So it was like me, like, and I think he met Lux because he played his cousin in a 2K tournament. He's like, oh, I have a cousin going to USC. Lux was throwing some function on Melrose during the summer. So I put it with my homegirl. I like met him. I dapped him up. I was like, well, the dude throws parties. Like he's going to fit the vibe. Like, I was like, his music is like pretty good. And then so that semester, Rod like throws big parties in LA, and so Rod like really taught me a lot about like throwing events to the next level. To like we threw this party called Thriller, and we had like probably like 600 people in like a backyard. I think on this street actually.
Wait, I was at that one. It's one street over.
Yeah,
and we went. Why was there too? I was at that one.
Yeah.
I like don't remember anything that happened, but I was like one of very few white people. That's all I remember.
Yes, that's right. It was like crazy because.
But I went because you guys were throwing it, and I was like, I recognize these kids from class. They're throwing a show. It's right across the street. We have to go check it out. So we did.
Yeah, damn, you're real for pulling up. Now
Bro,
a lot of Thornton people have pulled up to the events.
You're telling me, bro.
Yeah, because everyone goes. It's like, it's not really my vibe, and I'm like,
no, we stayed for a while.
Hey, you're real. Like, you're honestly probably one of the few Thornton people who's ever like pulled up to my events, because like, it's crazy. I'm like, bro, how the hell I have 1,000 people in a building and like I don't like y'all from Thornton come with. Totally, like, bro. Always been like, yo, like, you know what I'm saying, people like have their own vibes or whatever, but it's always been something interesting to me.
Yeah,
like kind of like even at the music school, even with the music scene within USC, there's certain music that's supported, and there's certain music where it's like, damn, like you kind of on your solo. Like Golden is probably the biggest artist to ever come out of USC. And I don't think he got that much support from Thornton. Like, he kind of blew up because of the row and his own shit. Like, my boy Lux, like, was literally a music industry major. I was a music industry major. Rob was a music industry minor. And no one was pulling up to our shit. And, like, at the time, like, nigga, we probably were throwing the biggest, like, non-row events
100%.
At USC. Like, Thriller Part 2, we had 1,000 people in Lazarus on Vermont.
Fuck.
And I could count on my hand how many people from Thornton went.
Dude, that's insane. And I know exactly what you're talking about. It's cliquey as fuck. I don't know what it comes from. I don't know if it's like systemic in the program because like the pop kids get a lot of attention. Like the pop program gets a lot of love over there, you know, and the music industry program is kind of like underneath of that. And then even inside the music industry program itself, it gets cliquey. I don't know why.
I think people like just have the vibes that they like, and if you're not making like that kind of music, like they just don't really want to go. But they also don't realize it's like, bruh, I'm going to your stuff. Like, believe me, like a country night was not like the first thing I wanted to see. But I was like, I knew you, I messaged you, I was gonna go. But I'm like, I guess you know what I'm saying, like. Those events were also where like the networking was at. Like you're probably, if you're not trying to work in hip hop, you're probably not getting that much networking done at the event I'm throwing. But at the same time, it's like, man, if you are, we were doing some cool shit. So it's kind of like at the same time, though I was like butthurt at the time, I definitely understand where people are coming from if it's not your vibe, but like also kind of allowed us to like develop our own identity, our own self-reliance. So like we were throwing these events, the events were going well. I was finally getting booked and paid to DJ. And then at the same time, my roommate Lux, he dropped this song called Not Your Nigga, which ironically was like, it's like I don't know, say like a joke song, but it was definitely something he like kind of recorded for fun. Like,
if you can't afford it, bitch, you best abort it.
Like, bruh. Like he was definitely like, they were just faded, like freestyling and recorded, and it just blew up online. And so I had this PR class, and I was like fake doing his PR for the class, and I was like, then it started going crazy, and I was like, bro, like we might as well use this fucking press release that I made, like. And him and Rod, like Rod was wanting to do sports management, but like they had ever talked about like, yo, if it starts going crazy, we ever manage me. And so it's like, bro, I started doing his PR, Rod started doing his managing, and like he was like, yo, like I could get a big manager, but he's like, I don't know them, like I don't trust them, like I don't know what they're gonna do. He's like, I know y'all, like. Honestly, like, even if I didn't trust y'all, I live with y'all, so I can, like, look over your shoulder to make sure you're doing a good job. And he's like, but I do trust y'all, so it just started going from there. And then I'm like, damn, like, I guess I do management now. Like, we were taking label meetings. Like, the first label meeting I ever went to was at Warner, and we made a full, like, PowerPoint presentation, and, like, me and Rod wore suits.
No way.
And the dude was, like, some 23-year-old dude who just graduated UCLA, and he's like, yeah, like, I could tell this is your guy's first meeting. And we're like, how do you know? He's like, first of all, he's like, you don't have to wear suits. He's like, you guys are like rap managers. He's like, just like look like rappers. And I was like, that makes sense. He's like, yeah, like also like we don't need a presentation. Like if we called you, like we're a label.
We already know.
I was like, yeah, like we can see your numbers. Like if you didn't do numbers, we wouldn't have called you. And I was like, oh, like. Yeah, like that makes like a lot of sense.
Absolutely.
So it was like a huge learning curve for the year, but like, yo, like, yeah, we went to Warner, we did meetings like APG, Asylum, like we met with Jimmy Iovine's nephew. We were like, did some stuff. Then Lux went on tour. He opened with for YG for like 5 dates on stage. So it was just like this crazy ass year of just like, yo, like I literally just live with these dudes that like I kind of knew because they seemed cool and we had stuff in common. And then like by the end of the year, it's like, bro, like we're like both like a friend group and like a business enterprise. Cause we literally just live with each other and we'd like freestyle every night and just like kick it, smoke, freestyle. Like it just became, and there was like all these other dudes, like Lux had all his boys from LA, Rod had all his boys from LA, like I had all my boys from LA and from campus. And like, so we have like all these other people like contributing. Like the song I have was like Lux's, like with Lux is like cause of boy Nas, who he knew from middle school. And then like Rod had like dudes he knew from back in the day, like doing cover art, doing promo. Like I knew people on campus, and like it was just kind of like a symbiotic relationship. And like that was like honestly the moment that it went from like something I did for fun to like something where I was like, yo, like I really do this. Like I've gotten paid for this. Like I've taken meetings. Like I actually feel like I know what I'm doing.
And that sense of pride is like literally what we're all out here searching for. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I am thoroughly excited and jealous of the journey you've had, bro. I mean, like going on tour. I saw you met Nardwar. I saw you had
crazy.
Some really fucking cool experiences.
That was so crazy.
I think it's amazing. I was gonna ask, I mean, to like sort of wrap it all up, we're getting like close to the end here. I'm just wondering like how any of those experiences benefited you as an artist, because it seems pretty clear you're pursuing artistry, like you're trying to make money there too.
Well, I think those experiences benefited me because I don't think I was ready to be an artist. Like as much as I wanted to be an artist and I knew I could be an artist, I wasn't ready. I didn't know what it fully entailed. I was like, it was something I did for fun. Like I originally, like I thought I was gonna go to school for football, and then I blew my hip out my junior year.
That's crazy.
And like that's really when I started taking music seriously. I was like, shit, like this is the only other thing that I'm like, okay, like I really was into bio too. I almost went to UCSB for bio, which would have been a completely different life journey. But
Totally.
I was like, bro, like literally, like that was the first time I ever took music super seriously. There was like this free after school program at like this high school, like this continuation like / career school through like the local like whatever like school district, and I took this music class, and it was the first time like I ever took music seriously. Then I got into USC, and I was like, oh my God, I literally got it for music. And I think this is the first time anyone else took me seriously. Like, oh shit, like he actually got into school for this. Like people were literally telling me, they're like, bro, like don't do that. Like you're a smart guy. Like don't like risk your college chances on music. And I was like, nah, like I don't really like anything else. Like people were like, oh shit, like, he got into school for music. Like, even my parents were like, damn, like he must be kind of decent. Like, cause my parents like aren't huge hip hop fans or like huge dance hall fans. They're more like old school, like again, you're saying like live music, so like, damn, like I guess he is like kind of decent if he got in. And then, but it's still like, damn, I wasn't like a crazy artist. I didn't know what it take. Like, I'd never booked a studio session, and like watching, first of all, like Umi lived in the same dorm as me and was like dating one of my homies.
No way.
Watching her blow up, I was like, oh shit, I literally know someone who's like has millions of views. Then watching Lux blow up, I'm like, oh my God, I'm literally like watching someone do like this every day. And then also simultaneously seeing Golden on campus. And then because I did management, there were some people who worked for Golden's management company who were still at USC. So I'd be talking to people from the management perspective, like I think gave people a lot of respect for me to be like a college student. Like I interned for D Smoke's manager before he ever blew up. Like when and I was like, bro, I remember posting him on my story and like no one to care. And then like there was the Netflix show and everyone's like, have you heard of this artist? I'm like, clearly you weren't paying attention to my story.
That's crazy.
I was promoting this dude when he had 7,000 followers, and like, yo, shout out to DJ Shanks, by the way. He's like the first dude who like ever gave me a chance. Took me to Empire Showcase in Oakland and like put me on a ton of shit. Like, and then like, oh, I like interned at APG, and my boss there was like super like really showing me like, yo, like, cause like I'm like, everyone thinks their music is good, but like grinding on SoundCloud and listening to 50 songs that sound exactly the same with 300,000 streams before you find one that's good enough to pitch your boss, you're like, yo, there's a lot of people with music that's half decent that gets a decent amount of plays, like. But what is enough to stand out? And I think I had to see all of that. I had to see other people stand out. One, to see like, yo, like, because at first I was like, bro, like, I don't know anyone who's made it in music. Like, my parents are like, they went to school so they could make money. Like, they're like they went to like, got a degree, like, to get a regular 9-to-5 job. Like, yeah, my parents do music. They don't get paid to do it.
Yep.
So I'm like, music is something everyone I knew did it for fun. And then I had to watch, like, I had to throw a party and have someone show me, like, yo, you can make money from this. You can make money from DJing. And then see other people, yo, Tierra was literally just making music that she liked, and she's literally, like, the most popping person you know. Yo, Lux literally made this song for fun, and now YG follows him. Like, Golden was, like, everyone was like, bro, who's this dude posting these stickers, like, of his SoundCloud? Like, oh, like, this guy, like, thinks he's hot shit. And then a year later, it's like, yo, this guy knew he was hot shit. Everyone else doubted him, and now he's platinum, and now he's the number one, like, he had, like, the number one song in America. And I had to, like, see that, be like, yo. And I had to see the management side of, like, the labels, yo, like, what does it take for, like, to get people to fucking pay you to do this? And I had to see it. And I think that was the greatest part of, like, contributing to my artistry, because I don't think the artists I manage, their music sounds anything like mine. Like, I don't think even, like, or, like, the artists I've, like, the labels I've interned at, like there was some similarities. Like, APG is a lot more ratchet and, like, or more pop than me. Lux was definitely more like aggressive hip hop. Golden was more SoundCloud. Umi was more artsy. But just like seeing them do their thing and seeing it work was like, yo, there's some common threads here. And there's also like, yo, this is what someone who makes it like puts in, especially living with Lux, like to see like his just like determination, like he's not gonna do anything else. Like he didn't want to do anything else. And like seeing just day in, day out, like, yo, like, because everyone's like, oh, like, you know, like I'm a rapper, but like, oh, like he was the first person I knew that made people call him by his rap name. Like, bruh, like people will ask me all the time, like, what's his real name? I'll be like, Lux. I'm like, if he doesn't want you to know, he doesn't want you to know. But I'm like, yo, everyone says they're a rapper. This dude literally wakes up and is a rapper.
Right.
Like, oh, like, yeah, like, yo, my name's like, yeah, my rap name's like Little like Tech Nine, but my real name, you can call me Chad. Like, no, he's like, what's your name? It's like, my name's P Lux. Like, oh no, what's your real name? It's P Lux. Like, yo, this dude wakes up and embodies like who he is. Like, he is like an artist. He is a rapper. Like, he was one of the first people like Umi, like her, like, bro, like people literally started calling her Umi. I was like, bro, like she literally is this like Golden. Like his real name is Golden, but like still like, bro, 24K Golden. Like he was the same guy who he was on campus is the same dude who's platinum. It's like, yo, like I remember him when niggas used to make fun of him for the same shit that literally like is made him famous.
Now they're sucking on him for it.
Yeah, like like I knew Golden. I was like, weren't you like making fun of him for like posting his SoundCloud on flyers and like now you like repost his album?
Yes. Bro, I think it speaks levels to so many things. It speaks levels to the drive and determination that these artists are having. It speaks to the energy and how contagious and addicting it is. I'm sure being around, just like the way you're describing, like waking up or you being in a house where P-Lux is waking up every day and he's like working hard. Like that shit it's contagious. You know, you just be like, oh shit, we're all out here working really hard. It also speaks levels to like the sense of community. I mean, you're just, and I'm not saying this in a bad way, you're just like name dropping people who have been around you that you plan to come up with, not like that you plan to bite off of or take advantage of, like people that you plan to work with and be successful alongside. Like that's a huge difference. Bro. And then just in addition, just that sense of like, I think I said it before, community, like just like having a community, like showing up at campus, not knowing as many people. Well, actually you knew some people. I didn't know anybody, but like some people don't know anybody. And then you have to work hard to meet people, man. Your network is your net worth. It's all about like being around people who make you stronger and make you work harder. You know, like I always preach this to people, like taking care of yourself is a huge part of the battle, but also surrounding yourself with people that support you is another huge hurdle to cross. Because some people get stuck like being really driven and surrounded by people who don't support them or say like 24K Golden, you're posting pictures on SoundCloud. Like, bro, you're trash. Like that is unsupportive, and he wasn't surrounding himself with those people, you know? Not to cut our conversation, but we've been going for long enough. I'd love to ask you if there's anything we missed or didn't get on top of that you want to shout out or anything, please.
I'd just like to wrap up by saying I think people look back at this era of USC and be like, what the fuck was going on like on campus? Like there's so many ridiculous people and there's so many people who are talented and like really haven't even gotten their recognition yet. Like all the dudes in Oros, like, and their whole camp over there, like Ares, TJ, Eddie, like Sean, John, like, I don't know, like Hong Kong Boyfriend, Ashes to Amber, like, they're still like, they have clout and they have traction, but they're nowhere near where like they're gonna be when they hit their pinnacle. And I'm like, man, like DJ Listo again is like really coming up. Like I think he did Golden's album release party last night.
No
like,
way.
And I'm like, bro, people go like, oh, Umi, Pure Luxury, Golden, Oros, you know, whatever, NPI, hopefully people say Ronnie Quest, like all these people, and then all the people who are also in the industry, like, damn, they were all like in the same campus, same residence hall, like whatever, like they were like, damn, that was crazy. And I think, I don't know, I feel blessed to just be here, and like, I appreciate like you like even have me on the show, and like the community we have here, this artistic community is ridiculous. Like it's ridiculous because it hasn't even reached its pinnacle yet, and it's already produced like notable figures, and like most of us haven't even gotten close to where we're gonna be. So I'm really just excited to see where people go, and like thank you for having me. I appreciate being here.
Dude, my absolute pleasure. Everything you said has been like both entertaining, educational, and many more things. It's just been like such a good conversation. Thank you for coming. And I cannot agree with your sentiment more. I always tell everybody like I can't wait to run into y'all like 10 years from now.
It's gonna be nuts.
Because it's gonna happen. Like I find it like I just got goosebumps saying it. I find it very unlikely that like a large portion of our class doesn't make it into the industry. You know what I mean? Especially right now with COVID. I know it was like the worst thing to happen, and it really was shitty for everybody who was like just about to enter the industry, but it wiped out so many old people from the industry that are ready to get replaced by us.
Hate to say it, like live is like we needed that as far as live
I
goes.
kind of agree, bro. I was really upset about it for a long time, but we are about to hit a huge refresh button, a huge F5,
Man,
bro.
so many monopolies broken down, giving opportunities to young people. Yeah, like as bad as it was, I think it might have been a blessing as
Opportunities will
terms of
come.
creativity and new stuff.
Yep, I agree. All right, bro. Well, it's been such a pleasure. We're gonna wrap it up. Actually, are you still down to do a live set?
Yeah,
You don't have to if you don't want
trying
to.
freestyle or
Yeah,
like
whatever you want.
Yeah, I could try it. If it's whack, we could just cut it.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll end the show with that. If it's good, psych, it's gonna be good. And everybody, if you made it this far, thank you. I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll have more stuff coming next week. More cool guests. I'll even name drop some people. We're about to have like Million Beats, Sarah Kawai, Sean Tran.
Shout out Sarah Kawhi.
Yeah,
And everyone else, honestly.
For real.
Sarah also used to live in the same residence hall as me.
Oh, for real?
Bruh, me, Umi, Fez, Sarah,
That's unbelievable.
Bobby, and then Eddie and TJ lived in New North, like right across. John, like all the Oros dudes were like in New North too, bro.
I'm trying to get John and Eddie on here too soon. Actually, I haven't reached out yet, but I will
Shout
soon.
out bro.
Dude, the
It's-
Oros guys are crazy. And gals, because like obviously Kristen's amazing too.
Yeah.
Everybody over there is amazing. All right, talk to y'all later. Peace.
Hey. Nice balance.
They don't want the truth. When I step up in the booth, I hit it out of the park like a nigga Babe Ruth. They call me baby. The flow so crazy. Got the time on me like, hey. I see pictures on the wall, painting lyrical pictures. I'm a ball until I fall. I'm the teacher. These niggas the students. I'm the influence. I'm like alcohol, getting you drunk off all these bars. I'm on the web. These niggas web surfing. These niggas in the Instagram DMs perving. Ay, and my game is so perfect. Baby girl could never curve it like a straight line. Do this shit in double time. I double rhyme with double entendres with my entourage. Get a couple of girls, want a menage. And I ain't talking no Nicki, I'm hella picky. Do this shit kinda quickie. I'm racking just like I'm Biggie. I'm rapping out the dome, sitting Xavier's home. The flow was sick and the microphone sicker. They used to remember. Hey, I'm getting warmed up. This is like a warm-up lap. These ain't real bars. This is just warm-up raps. Matter of fact, these is just warm-up facts. You ain't even ready for the real shit. You need to. You're ready for the real shit. Needs to be warm for that. I need a. Fuck. Hey. Same brown skin, brown liquor. Only you when I'm sipping, babe. Don't feel no pressure. Never could trip off for you. Drinks up, let's do what we do. I'm saying brown skin, brown liquor. Only you when I'm sipping, babe. Don't feel no pressure. Never could trip off for you. Drinks up, let's do what we do. Let's do what we do. Let's do what we do, baby. When you coming over, pour up some drink while I'm rolling up the doja. Get aggressive and possessive, girl. I hate that shit, but I love it when you and drink are on my lips. When I'm in your room, I fall into it. Baby, enemy, call me the influence. Creeping on the low is what we been doing. Look at me and act like you ain't been knew it. I'm saying brown skin, brown liquor. Only you when I'm sipping, babe. Don't feel no pressure. Never could trip off for you. Drinks up, let's do what we do. I'm saying brown skin, brown liquor. Only you when I'm sipping, babe. Don't feel no pressure. Never could trip off for you. Drinks up, let's do what we do. Let's do what we do. I'm just saying when we swaying, cabareting in the evening, we don't need no inhibition. I ain't got no inhibition. I'm just saying I ain't playing when it comes to you. Gon' grabbing bottles and I'm busting missions. Right now, what's up? I'm just saying when we swaying, cabareting in the evening, we don't need no